there, this is Doris Venter of Library Arts. Thank you so much for joining me here today for this program where we will be creating a beautiful fall-themed button and gem tree. We're going to use a canvas, an 8x10 canvas, glue, acrylic paints, a variety of flat-backed buttons and mini gems, plus a hint of glitter to create this beautiful and bold tree that I think you will really enjoy making. Let's go ahead and get started and talk about the materials you'll need for this project. See you in a minute. Okay, let's go over the materials you're going to need for your bead and gem tree today. First of all, you'll need an 8x10 canvas. And this can be a canvas board or a canvas like I have here. You're going to need some paint. So I have here blue, black, brown, white, some purple and green, and I've already put them into some little paint cups here to make them easy to work with. You should have some tacky glue and a craft stick for applying your glue. Definitely going to need some buttons, so I have a snack baggie full of buttons here of various sizes. You're going to really want to use the flat back button, so if you have a button with a shank on it, like this flower button here, you're going to probably want to avoid using those because they will stick up rather than lay flat. I have some flat back gems to mix with those buttons. And I have a little bit of gold glitter in another container. So now that we've gone over the materials, the only other thing you will need is some paint brushes, a water cup. I recommend having some paper towels to dry your brush on. And I would suggest a pencil for some very light and minimal sketching on your canvas. Okay, now that we've gone over all the materials, we'll go ahead and get started in the next film clip. See you in a moment. Alrighty, we're ready to get started. You're going to want to have your canvas in a vertical or portrait orientation. So it's going to go straight up and down like that. We're going to start by making a very light curve on this side and this side. So let's imagine that this is where all your, quote, leaves, which in this case will be buttons, will go. Now we also want to make sort of a little roundish shape right on the inside. That's going to be where our branches come in, and down here will be our trunk and some grass. So this is basically showing us the area that will be used for our buttons to make this big, beautiful, colorful tree. So I'm just going to hold that up. It looks like sort of a crescent moon shape that goes off the canvas and comes back on again. The next thing we're going to do is now we're going to take our glue, that thick, tacky glue, and we're going to fill all of that in with glue. Now this is a very drippy glue, so when you scoop it up, just give a little wipe on the lip, and then you can start to spread your glue. And you're just going to fill in all of the canvas that is showing right here so that you get good grip on those buttons and gems that you put down in a little while. Maybe a few beads in there too. And all together, you're going to end up with a really fun, beautiful design that is super easy to make. So let's curve around here like this with our glue. And fill that in. Okay. Once your glue has basically filled in that shape, and don't worry if you go a little bit out of that realm of where the line was, you just want to make sure you have a nice thick layer. And then go ahead and cap that glue and save it for later. Now, this is where you're going to open up your bag and start picking the gems that you want. Now, what I suggest you do is look for bigger gems and put those down. Now, there's some really big ones in here, and those are kind of fun to add because you can layer them. Like I might put, you know, this one on here, and then you know, a little fun one like that on top. So think about layering them by putting the bigger buttons down first, again with the flat backs. You don't want the shank backs on the buttons, but just put a variety of buttons in different sizes. Again, but if you have some bigger buttons, put those down first. So go ahead and put that first layer of buttons down, and when I come back, I'll show you how you can layer some buttons and gems on top, and then how we can add some glitter to really make that part of the tree sparkle. See you in a moment. Okay, welcome back. So at this point, you probably have that crescent shape pretty much filled in. You know, if you have a spot here or there, like I see a little spot here, I could fill one in. But don't worry about some of those glue spots in between. It's not really going to be an issue. Now, what you're going to do next is you're going to use a little more of that glue to build up some layers. Like I'm thinking this might be fun right here. And I'm going to put another little fun button on top. But I wouldn't stress about making it too high, because if you make it too high, it's not really going to be a tree anymore, is it? So look for overlapping buttons to fill in maybe some areas that could use a bit more, or you just want to see that bright heart there, because there's some really fun buttons in here. You might see a letter, you might see, you know, a fun button with a fun color on it, or you might want to, you know, layer a button on top of another button like I'm doing there. But you just want to build up the buttons in a way that is fun, colorful, fills in and layers what you have, so you have fewer gaps, fewer gaps, but you also may use, and this is fun too, some of the gems. You might want to put some of your gems on top of a button. Like I could put this purple one right here just for fun. I might want to find a smaller gem that I want to just sneak in here on the side. So it's really going to be a combination of layering more buttons and adding gems here and there where you think they will fit, or you think that they make a statement, and just tuck them in like so. So I'm going to go ahead and let you do it. Remember, don't go too high with your buttons. Maybe 2 layers is plenty. Just layer the designs where you want them to be. Make it fun, make it relaxed, and don't make it too tall. So I'm going to go ahead and let you work on your button design, and I'll be curious to see what you come up with in the end. So have fun, be playful, and I'll see you shortly. And then we'll do the glitter stage of this design. Have fun. Welcome back. So at this point, you probably have your gems, you have buttons, you've layered it. We're going to bring our glitter in next. Now this is where, if you don't have a paper towel or a foil sheet or something to protect your table, this is a good time to get it. We're going to open up our glitter and we're going to sprinkle it, covering anywhere we see glue, particularly between the buttons. We're going to give it a sprinkle of glitter. Now, I'm not even halfway through my glitter, so you don't want to dump it. You want to lightly, lightly, lightly sprinkle that glitter all over, right up to the edges of the canvas, because you want this tree to go to the edges of your canvas. You want to make sure you get into any areas. Don't worry if you don't use it all, because we're going to collect any extra glitter. So here we go. I'm going to turn it upside down onto my paper towel, and I am going to try to shake off any extra glitter. Now anything that's on top that you say, oh, I didn't mean to get the glitter there, you can probably brush it off with a dry brush later. I wouldn't worry too much about it now, but you have this beautiful halo of buttons and beads and glitter now. So I'm gonna put that down, and you see I have a lot of excess glitter here. If you have something like a paper towel, you should be able to grab that glitter, open up your container, hold it very carefully, and just tap that glitter right back into your container so you're not really wasting it. Just like that. I'm not saying you're going to get every single speck, but you're going to get a good amount of it. I still have like 3/4 of my glitter left, and I may want to use that later, so I'm going to just do that. Now I'm going to put my tree back here, and the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to start to lightly sketch in where we think our branches will be going. And I'm thinking I'm going to have some branches reaching out here, kind of like the spokes of a wheel. And they're going to be coming out, reaching towards where our quote leaves are, and then leading into a tree trunk that should come out to the edges of that glue and glitter and button gem area. Now I'm going to come down, but I'm going to stop short of going down all the way because I think I'm going to put, a grassy little section here. I'm just putting this here to show me that that's pretty much where it's going to go. And in the next video, we're going to talk about adding color to your tree trunk, the background, creating a ground, and also using the remaining gems and or buttons to fill in some of those areas. So I'll see you in a minute. Go ahead and draw your tree in, get your glitter on, and we'll come back and start painting. Okay, how did your glitter turn out? I'm sure it made a little bit of a mess in your house, but now you have a beautiful glittery array of leaves on your tree. So now it's time to work with our paints. So I'm going to open up my little paint pots, and I'm going to open them all up, even though I don't need all the colors all at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to start by not only making sure I have that paper towel and my brushes. Let's get this out of here. Not using that anymore, at least for now. But I also want to have a little foil or a plate or something you can use as a mixing palette, because I do find that's helpful with a project like this. So I'm going to dry my brush, and we're going to make some a dark blue purple sky. So I'm going to put some of my blue, clean my brush really well, dry it over here. I'm going to add some purple now because I want this to be a bluish purpley sky. Whoops. This is why we have foil, to catch those drips and slips. So I'm going to make a really pretty blue purple, but I also want it to be a little on the dark side. So I'm going to clean my brush once again. I'm going to add just a little bit of black. You don't want to overdo it with the blacks. You want to keep that kind of under control. Maybe a little more purple. There we go. I like that color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start blocking in the sky color surrounding my tree, going right up to the glitter, right in between those beads, going around my leaves, my beaded leaves there. And I'm going to use that color. And I'm actually going to go all the way down here where the quote grass is, because we're going to bring that back with a little green in a few minutes. That's not critical. If you want to color the edges of your painting, like I'm doing now, you can continue that color right over the edges. And you can also do it on the sides. I mean, I already got some paint there anyway, so I might as well take that paint and cover the sides. It just means you really want to let it dry flat when you're done. If you want to do the top, You can do that while you're at it, just to kind of give it more of a consistent look. And then you can do the other side. And here is where you can actually go up along the top edge if you want to get a little paint in between where maybe the buttons or the glitter didn't fill in. You can just tap a little bit of that blue paint anywhere you see a spot where maybe it needs it. Okay, I'm going to take some more of that blue purpley paint. I'm going to take it right up to my tree trunk again. Really bring the painting all the way down to the bottom of my picture. Like this, all the way up to the beads, all the way up to the buttons. And if you get a little paint on a button, don't worry about it. Again, I'm doing the sides, because I'm not planning on picking up this picture until it's dry. So I'm going to do the sides right now. And like so. So we have this beautiful purpley blue picture. I'm going to again cover in the grass. Now I might want to put a second coat of color on this after this had a few minutes to dry. So you may want to smooth it out with your brush and then come back and put a second coat. Wouldn't worry too much about the sides getting a second coat. That will be up to you. But I missed a few areas over here, so I'm going to make sure I come back and get the areas I missed the first time around. So I didn't get the whole side here, so I'm just going to come back and make sure I get that. Okay, great. Now, we want to get the same color in between our branches. So I'm just going to dab my brush right in between my branches. Now I have made this painting a couple different ways. I have made it where I did the whole painting with the blue purple colors and then I added the glue, but that meant you were working on wet paint and I didn't like that. So I decided to rethink it and do it this way, and I do think it does work better. And just like a lot of artists, sometimes you have to try things a couple times before you feel satisfied that it's working the way you want it to. And here's another area of sky coming between the branches here. Like this. Again, just taking it up to the buttons and gems without covering it completely. I just want to get up to it so that there it leaves the branches and the trunk of my tree ready for adding more to. Now I'm going to add a little bit more black, and I'm just going to drag a little black over the blue. Now the reason why I'm doing that, I wanted to give it a little bit of a darker sky. So while the paint is wet, artists sometimes call this wet into wet. It means you're taking a wet color into and adding it to a surface of your canvas that is still wet at this point, which this is. And I want the sky to be a little bit on the darker side. So I'm just kind of dragging a little bit of that black through like this to really kind of deepen the sky, make it a little more mysterious, so that tree that will really, really glow off the canvas. And if you want to, again, continue it on the side, that's a personal choice, not something you have to do or feel like you have to do. Okay, a little more of that black. Now I'm going to bring that black tone also in between the trees, because again, I really want that to be a little bit more contrasty to the trunk of the tree, because we're going to use a similar color for the trunk, but I am going to lighten it up. That's why I'm making this a little bit more intense. So there we go. Now I'm going to clean my brush, and I'm actually going to stick with this color I mixed, this blackish, bluish purple. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some white and lighten it up just a bit. I'm going to lighten that up a bit, but still keep that purpley blue combination of color. But I definitely want it to be a little grayer, but yet purpley blue. So here we go. Add a little bit more white to that, because again, I don't want it to be the same. Here we go. So it's going to be kind of a purpley blue tree coming out with its trunks coming down here. And I actually like working with this wet into wet technique, because I think that it just kind of blends the colors, almost like an oil pastel application where you can blend those colors together beautifully and utilize that dark color that you see in a way that really enhances your paint, because you're mixing it, you're blending it with existing color, just like this. Allow that color to be slightly lighter. Feel like branches coming out from the center of the tree so that it feels like a lovely tree with a kind of intense darkness surrounding it. So I'm going to go back now and I'm going to double check and see if I need a little more black maybe between the branches to again differentiate that part from the branches themselves. I'm going to take a little bit of black in here. Again, it can mix with a little bit of that gray in the tree branches. But again, it's going to add just a little more depth to my picture. Like this. And go over here a little bit more to really show off that. And this. Okay. And you're saying, what about that green? Is she ever going to use that green? Yeah, we're going to use that green. We're going to use that green now. And we're going to actually use the green, pull it up from the bottom in little strokes. Again, wet into wet. Let's bring that green up from the bottom, drag it through that blue-black paint, just like this, to add a kind of grassy finish to the bottom of the picture. Just pure green. I'm not mixing anything else. Just giving it a little finish. And I like the way the dark green pops through the purple down here. And we're not done yet. So I want you to finish your painting, get your tree to a point where you're happy with it, with the branches a little lighter, the sky a little darker. Get your grass in at the bottom, and then we'll come back to talk about some accents we can add to your beautiful painting. See you in a minute. Okay, welcome back. So I'm assuming that you've gotten your tree trunk, your grass in to your satisfaction. Now this tree still needs something. And the something that I believe it needs is the feeling of some leaves, if you will, between the branches, maybe up on the grass down below. So I'm going to just pour some of my leftover gems over here, and I'm going to put a few bits of gems. Here's one. Now, it's a little easier sometimes to put the glue on the canvas, but in this case, I'm going to select some pretty colors. Oh, here's one. Randomly put the glue on the back, and I'm just going to randomly stick them in between the branches. Now, your colors can vary. They can be similar. You may want really bright colors. You may want different sized gems. That's up to you. I'm just choosing a variety from what I have left here. I'm not using the buttons so much for this as the gems, because I just think that they're a little prettier for this effect. And I'm going to make this one look like it's almost attached to the tree because it's got that little pointy part to it. And I may find another one to do the same thing. And we'll glue that one down maybe over here, if I can get it from, keep it from sticking to my fingers, that is. Like that. And I'll put a few more, maybe of the singular gems down, if I can find some colors that I like. I have a lot of white. Oh, here's a pink one. That should do nicely. A pink one makes sense to me. I'll put a pink one right here. And a few more I think would look good. So this is going to be a personal choice thing, how many you like or want to put. And then there's the opportunity also to put some really fun gems at the bottom of your tree to suggest almost like these are gems that have fallen down off the tree, and it gives it a very pretty finish. You might even want to put, like, I think I'm going to put a gem here to finish off that corner, make that look a little more finished. I think I'm going to add one over here, do a similar trick. So let's see, we're going to just take another one over here. Here and here I think would be good places to put a few gems. So I'm going to put one here. Ooh, that's a gorgeous one. And I think I'm going to put one over here. I might do one of these black ones. Pick up on the black theme going on here. And I think I'm going to put another black one over here. And remember, that glue is going to dry clear, so you don't have to worry about the glue showing through. And if you even want to put like a gem on the tree itself, you could do that. Wouldn't make too many. I would just do maybe one or two just as a kind of interesting bit. And then at the bottom of your tree, this is where you can have some fun too. You can take and put some glue near the bottom of your tree as if these are pieces that have maybe fallen off and clustered together down there. So I have a little white one here. Oopsie. Right down here. And I have a pretty pink one I'll put, just clustered together like they fell from the tree and are gathering at the base here. And maybe if I can find another little tiny one. Oh, here's a really tiny one. I think I might put that here, like that. And if I can find a tiny one with a little color, oh, here's one. I'll put one more right here, right there, like that. So you end up with a really beautiful painting that is just full of drama and lovely to look at, especially when it's dry. And this is our bead, button, and gem tree. I hope you enjoyed this program. If you want to add a little sprinkle, tiny, if I were you, of glitter over any of the wet paint just to give it a little soft finish, you can do that like this. And there you go. I hope you enjoyed the program. This is Doris Benter of Library Arts. Thank you so much for joining me today for this project. Stay well and stay creative. Bye-bye.